District as shown in Schedule A. And if the development officer would come forward and confirm notices, please.
Good evening, Your Worship. This bylaw amendment intends to change the designation of the areas outlined in red from R1, single detached dwelling, to R1N narrow lot district. The application was on May 29th, 2015 and June 5th, 2015 in the Strathmore Times and on the website. We have not received any written submissions in support or in opposition. We did receive one inquiry simply asking whether or not, in fact, this was being zoned R1N instead of R2X as previously anticipated. To council, I think you appreciate the background and planning supports the change.
Okay. Next part that I'm going to ask is for your development officer's report. Are you prepared to give that here?
Yeah, I think the report, I guess I've already touched on it a little bit. Again, it's a change from R1 single detached residential district to R1N single detached narrow lot district. This amendment needed to enable approval of a subdivision application that's currently pending with the town.
And there was no written submissions?
That's correct.
Okay. And no persons wishing to be heard?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay. And does council have any questions? Councillor Walsh?
Your Worship, to the Director, how does this fit with the current building that's in the area?
Meters in width. It's nominally a 40-foot lot subdivision, so it's consistent.
So, okay, good. And there was no persons in opposition?
That's correct.
Okay. No further questions for the development officer? Closing statements, development? Carried. Next item on our agenda is public hearing bylaw 1510 land use bylaw amendment. Purpose of the bylaw. Bylaw 1510 proposes adding a district overlay under Schedule E in the land use bylaw number 1411. Bylaw 15.2 acres of the southwest quarter section of 16 Township 24, Range 25, west of the 4th Meridian, as an RV and mini storage site. And would the development officer please give us confirmation of notices?
Yes, the notice.
Your Worship, I want to excuse myself if I may.
Oh, please, yes. Please show Councillor Graychuk absent.
Bylaw 1511 was published in the Strathmore Times on May 29th, 2015, and on June 5th. It's a little on the lengthy side, so I'll just perhaps touch on the highlights. The applicant wishes to develop an RV and mini storage development on the lands outlined in red on page 1 of the public hearing package that is shown up on the screen. It's just a little over 4.2 acres in size. A development permit for this proposed development, we need to amend the land use bylaw. Currently, this is zoned agriculture, which is a carryover of the county zoning at the time of annexation. The applicant had requested a highway commercial zoning, but as you're probably aware, our highway commercial district has a whole list of permitted and discretionary uses. The overwhelming majority would require water and or sewer services, hotels, food, restaurants, all that sort of thing. Instead of a conventional highway commercial district, staff are proposing an overlay district, which in essence modifies the parent district limits on this particular site. One issue, for example, is that the overlay would allow, limits the allowable types of development on the site to mini storage or self-storage, outdoor overlay also permitted uses. This allows us to do two things. It gives us a little more flexibility in adding any relevant conditions to the development permit. It also enables us to issue a development permit for a limited period of time. And we anticipate that it be reviewed and monitored, over a period of time, just to make sure that things like landscaping and other matters are reasonably maintained, rather than giving a permit for perpetuity and then having that use phased out once servicing becomes available. Staff support the overlay and approving this bylaw for the reasons outlined in the report. The use of land and buildings is consistent with the highway commercial district. As noted, RV and mini storage does not require services. We view RV and mini storage as a transitional or temporary use until services become available. It may very well be there for 10 or 15 or more years, but once services are available, it's more likely the use. Bylaws, the transitional district. Different municipalities call them different things, but we've inherited the county's agricultural district in its entirety, so we don't have that flexibility. We believe that the property is well suited for this type of use. We do not anticipate any major issues in the future when servicing becomes available due to the lay of the land, rather than vice versa. Allows us to deal with pertinent issues and allows the development to proceed. Staff support the adoption of the bylaw for those reasons.
Okay. Were there any written submissions?
No written submissions.
Okay. And does council have any?
To the director, where exactly is this located? Can you show me on the map, because I'm a little confused.
Right behind you. It's
Still a little confused as to where exactly this is.
it's west. There's the town boundary. There's Highway 1. This is the oil field service firm that occupies the 493 feet of the farmstead.
That's all? Okay. And no further questions? Oh, sorry, Councillor Peterson, go ahead.
To the development officer, when you say on page 3, is this written into the actual agreement, or
Well,
does it become part of the deferred agreement?
No,
Or the deferred servicing is just related to water and
the
sewer?
thing is directly related to municipal water, sanitary, and likely storm, to the extent. We're long, except for the driveway, of just over 6 meters in width, which is a little over 20 feet in this case. That allows us to do a berm with a 4-to-1 slope, either intermittently or continuously, to a maximum of 2.5 feet, 30 inches, to get a 1-4-3. Landscaping, but we also know that there is no water, so we have to be, don't want to plant a whole bunch of trees and look at red trees a year down the road. We certainly won't be planting any cedars or anything like that, and we're going to do our best to see that it will be a discretionary use, so there will be certainly we tend. We're going to leave those alone.
Yep.
There's no point in disturbing those. Rather than being, it's very hard to be particularly prescriptive in a situation where there's no water,
Right.
and hold it to the same standard as to where there is water. So I think here's gets crushed and it's not working.
Right. I just think that adding to the stellar view coming in from Strathmore from the west, wouldn't be good. So doing something different would be useful. And this looks good.
Is anticipated of 5 years. After that time, a review of the development will be conducted and the permit issued for the same or alternate period of time with or without conditions. And my question is, the way this is written, it sounds like it will be renewed, possibly with conditions.
The period lapses after a period of 5 years. There would be a reapplication. I mean, certainly if there's no development in the vicinity, I can see this being there for 10 or 15 years, but you never know.
That I have with it being oils and gasolines being spilled, is there anything written into the agreement in regards to cleanup?
We haven't issued the development permit. We haven't got into that level of detail, but there's two of the most common problems are rodents and spills, especially now that some of the plastics are soya-based.
Favor? Carried. And we can, I think, invite Councillor Graychuk back now. And thank you. Mr. Peterson.
I have some questions that are embedded in my report, Your
Okay.
Worship, so this be a part of the report.
Thank you. And I have nothing to add. And administration?
The agenda is correct tonight.
Your Worship, I move to adopt the agenda.
We have motion June 3rd regular council meeting.
Move, Your Worship.
We have a motion.
Your Worship, if I could just speak to that motion just for a moment. If council and admin and Jen could turn to page 5. I'm just a little confused on the order of things here. It seems a little bit out of sync as far as what happened. The initial motion came in, out of order, and then we had the vote. So it just in the presentation on paper, it seems a little bit out of sync. So I don't know how we would correct that.
The intent of the order is the order of the way the resolutions were made.
Okay.
So the original resolution was made before the amendments. The
So
amendment
it's
will
not
come-
necessarily chronological order then? Okay, thank you.
Okay. That's all in favor? And carried. Thank you. There are no delegations? No. Public hearing bylaw 15 land use amendments bylaw.
Your Worship, I move the council give second reading to land use bylaw amendment bylaw number 15-11.
Do we have a motion? Council, give second reading? Is that the one you're doing? Yes, second reading. We have a motion for second reading on bylaw 1511. All in favor? Carried.
Your Worship, and I would move that council give third reading to land use bylaw amendment bylaw number 15-10.
Well, should be
11, sorry. My fault. Just can't count.
No discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Carried. And
Oh, excuse myself, Your Worship.
show Councillor Graychuk as being excused, please.
And Your Worship, I'd move the council give second reading to land use bylaw amendment bylaw number 15-10.
We have a motion for second reading. No discussion? All in favor? Carried.
And Your Worship, I would move that council give third reading to bylaw number 15-10.
No discussion? All in favor? Carried. And we'll invite Councillor Graychuk back. New business, development permit to 15D074. Page 27.
Your worship, members of council, this development permit application proposes a fourplex at 121 Waddy Lane. Council may recall last November, the land use bylaw was amended. Variance of up to 25% in the land use bylaw, but if the variance exceeds 25%, we are compelled to refer it to council for approval. And this is before council because this development permit application involves two variances to district. Currently, that is 5 dwelling units per hectare. The proposed density of this fourplex on a 50 by 36 meter lot, a little over 100. Three relaxations. Firstly, with the setback from the front property line. By pulling the building towards the front, we were able to 1.5 off-street parking stalls per dwelling unit in full. So a 70 for adjacent property lined in the report. And it's supported by the zoning. It's a permitted use. We don't believe that the granting the relaxations will duly affect the amenities of the neighborhood or the use, enjoyment, or value of neighboring property. And we believe the approval is consistent with the policy direction provided by the municipal development plan. The alternative before council is to deny the relaxations there. Permit. A copy of the draft development permit is attached with conditions that I think are comparatively standard and routine. Thank you.
Councilor Walls?
Your worship, if I could have the director turn to page 30, looking for a little clarification under B, number 3.
I'm sorry, page 30?
Page 30 in the
Page
package.
30.
So I guess I'm looking for some clarity. So it was redesignated fourplex on there. So was the site not big enough to put the fourplex on?
Oh, that's what this is, an application is for a fourplex.
Right, so they redesignated this to an R2X,
Yes.
right?
To enable the fourplex.
So was the fourplex, and I guess my question would be, did they change their thoughts on what they were doing with the site? Or?
Not to my knowledge, no. I mean, I think the issue last fall is that we knew that there would be, this was the water, and there was a concern about servicing.
And that's been addressed?
Yes, you may recall, we did a hydrant test, and it.
That's what I was gonna say. EPCOR did a water test at the entry point and found that the pressure was good. And the one in the middle. And the one in the middle, we found the pressure was good.
Councilor Peterson?
I just wanted to reassure the public before.
Okay, thank you. I guess we'll entertain a motion then, please.
Your worship. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. All right, it's your turn.
I think I've been doing a lot. Your worship, I would move that council approve development permit application 15D-074 with conditions as stated in the attached draft development permit.
We have a motion on the floor. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Carried. And thank you.
Thank you, Werner.
First one we ever agreed with you, isn't it, Werner?
That's the easiest one.
Don't make it worse.
I see nothing further really on our agenda here. I know Councilor Peterson has some
Reports.
her reports. Do we want to?
You want to make a statement about that, absolutely.
You may be wondering why we have balloons and bananas. Some considering as a frisbee, but it's actually a disc golf or golf disc, I guess I should say. The Strathmore Youth, the Strathmore Assembly of Youth, came to council some time back, and they asked if they could develop, design, build, implement, do the whole darn tour in regards to a disc golf. Council was very supportive. Administration was very supportive. And they are thanking us for us supporting them. But it's really us who thanks you for your hard work, for your effort, and for making our town better. Thank you very much. We appreciate everything you've done. Golf lessons on July the 1st, Canada Day, at 2 o'clock?
No, at 8:30.
At 8:30?
Oh, 2 o'clock, okay, sorry, tournament's at 8:30.
Yeah, they do the. And did you, Ms. McDonald, like to come forward and say anything, or?
I just want to say that you guys have been unbelievably fantastic to work with. And when I talk to people in other communities, they can't believe all of the positive stories I have about our town council, and the staff at our town. And I just think that that's something that often isn't heard in the newspaper or when you're out for coffee. And just to not
Thank you.
Thank you, it's reciprocated.
Go ahead, Councillor Field.
Thank you, Your Worship. I would also like to thank and acknowledge Ms. McDonald and Ms. Susan Ruzick for taking all the time, and it's a lot of extra time. I know because I teach at Strathmore High with her, so I see how energetic and passionate she is about this group of students from Holy Cross and Strathmore High, and it's her and Susan's leadership that has channeled the energy of the students. And once again, too, because the course has done nothing but add an amenity to the town, and it gives people something to do as far as exercise through our green spaces and our parks. And just recently we took our phys ed classes out to try this, and it's a great course. You've laid it out well, and sadly we had 3 students who put 1 frisbee in a backyard and 2 in trees, but we were able to get them down without bothering anyone. So I thank you, and I think it's a great.
Councillor?
I do want to commend you folks. It's just a tremendous idea. I just want to know when you're going for 18 or 36 holes.
when I retire, which is a long time.
Great job.
Thank you.
And Mr. Penner, would you stand up, please?
Has it
You'd
been,
be safe if it was fuel throwing it.
I'd like to point out I do have a phys ed degree.
has there been any consideration in regards to tournaments and bringing surrounding communities in to compete?
Well, we're doing the first one. You guys are on your own.
Oh, okay. 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 Thank you very much.
I have to say that I teach out of town, Your Worship, and my students are really excited about the options, and they're already booking bus trips for next year.
You know what I would like? I would like to turn this back to you, and I would like to get an keep it. Thank you. Next item on our agenda is Councillor Peterson and your
Reports, and I'll make
Please.
it very short. So, Strathmore Municipal Library, the main thing in this report is that the library board is seeking assistance from town staff to work towards achieving charitable status. They run into some walls, and so I sent an email to you from Richard Woodruff around that, and better action than because we are struggling with that, and we in the same time we're grateful that the town, while we're in the process of achieving charitable status, that you've allowed us to take donations under the town, and we're really grateful for that. The summer reading program, the Strathmore Municipal Library gratefully acknowledges support from the Strathmore Lions. The program is going to run again this year, and very much due to the Strathmore Lions, and we're really grateful. The other question consideration, perhaps not tonight. And all the committees that I sit on, with the exception of Marigold, they are looking at the Canada 150 grant, the legacy grant for the celebration of Canada's 150th anniversary. And there is lots of desire to apply for this grant, but at each phase, I hear this understanding that we would be stronger together. So that if we join forces into unity legacy grant, it might be much better. But I think all of those organizations, and possibly some that you're involved in, would benefit from a coordinated effort. And so I would also look to Ms. Simpson or some of admin staff for that support. The Strathmore Regional Arts Cooperative met on June the 14th. We had a presentation from Creative Airdrie. It was extremely informative. I think we learned two major things. One is that we're doing pretty good as a group, and in terms of actually we're highly complimentary in when they saw what had been accomplished by the Strathmore Regional Arts, but they also gave us a lot of great ideas. They had a very different take on a graffiti park that they have that's worked very well. It's certainly different than the information that we got and worth looking at. One of the things, possibly the most valuable, was their insight around corporate fundraising and their connection to the business people community and hum-up and looking for Thank you.
And that's your motion, the report. All in favor? See anything on the agenda? I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Oops, sorry. Just before we take that motion, could I just had one comment I'd like to
Sure,
make
please.
and that is I sent this to Dr. Stanford to thank Public Works, but I wanted to say it in public as well. And that is, I wanted to thank Dwight Administration and Gord and Public Works for their recent, I guess I should make sure the mic's on. I wanted to thank Public Works and their employees for the addition of all the trees at Strathmore Lake, because it's just been an amazing addition to the town, and it does wonders as far as greening up our look and beautification for the town. So I wanted to make sure you guys were all publicly thanked, because you went above and beyond to make sure these trees were replaced, and it's done a great job for the town. Thank you.
And thank you.
Your worship,
Yes.
excuse me, there's one item I would ask to go into camera, but if we can, just for 2 minutes after, if we could, if council would agree.
Okay, we have a motion to go in camera. All in favor? Carried. Thank you very much.
Thanks. Thank you.